Let us explore how meditation could help us transcend guilt. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. How do I move on from past missteps? The individual wrote, and then continued. I made so many mistakes growing up, small to big. Some are not even fixable now. The biggest one being how I misbehaved with my grandparents. I didn't know the concept of life and death despite losing my father in early childhood. My grandparents loved me so much. My grandpa used to get me toys even when he had to muster all his energy. My little brat self never even thanked him and was never grateful. If I didn't like the color of the toy, he used to go back to the shop and then get me a different one. I made an old man suffer that way, and this is killing me. He died of cancer years ago, and he suffered a lot before his death. There are so many things like this I don't know how to move on from. It's like I know I'm a terrible person looking back, but I can't do anything about that now. Please advise me on how to deal with these. Gladly, let us begin with broad brushstrokes. There are so many people, and so many teachers, and so many authors, and so many philosophies. Some are nefarious with dark motives to overwhelm their reader, thus coercing them to buy more courses or books or lessons. Others are good-hearted, yet still lazy-minded and still destructive. There is a myth that guilt is an indictment and a call for us to do battle against that guilt until we feel nothing but content and self-satisfaction. But that would be indulging our controlling tendencies, would it not? There is another myth that says that our guilt is our acquittal, our proof that we've grown a conscience, and we must hold on to the guilt tightly, so tightly our knuckles turn white. For that is proof that at last we are becoming a good person. Might I suggest a third path? A middle path between these two extremes. Nowhere on the Buddha's path are we told to select our emotions, to shove some emotions away, or to pull other emotions towards us. In fact, it's been my experience that we select our emotions at our peril. Then what do we do with that which we feel? What do we do with our emotions? We treat them not as a lifeline to be clung to, nor an adversary to do battle with. We treat them the way a surfer treats the sea, as something to surf upon. When contemplating love, Our feelings of guilt and regret can prompt us to wish that others treat others wiser and kinder and find peace. When training in wisdom and impermanence and interdependence, our guilt can drive us to notice how a child can affect an adult. And how an adult can be impermanent, as can a child, as can a person, as can a memory, as can an emotion. But the majority of the Buddha's path consists not of contemplation, but of mindfulness and meditation. Let us take a deeper look at that right now. Let us begin with mindfulness, the seventh fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired by evolution to access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has not evolved to indulge either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration. Instead, this sympathetic nervous system has evolved to support perception, to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. But what is it that we are wired to perceive? We are wired to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We are wired to perceive emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We are not digital, we are analog, squishy little beasties, and as such we are wired to perceive spectrums. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. This can feel quite overwhelming. Which brings us to meditation, the eighth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired by evolution to effortlessly access our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower third as well as the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both our physical relaxation as well as our mental release. Whatever comes up, we don't have to get lost in the perfectionism of finding the perfect label for everything we observe. We can use the universal label. Every time we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And this can be applied to whatever we perceive, whether it's a memory of a loved one or misdeed, our younger sense of self. Whether it is a perception of an emotion, a self-longing, a self-loathing, a yearning to have done better. Whether we perceive a memory of the way things were and all their grotesquerie, or perhaps an imagining of the way things should have been, the way we wish we would have done them. The most important thing is that we do not try to control the ocean. We merely surf the waves, perceiving them vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. I do look forward to practicing with you. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School for more than 30 years. I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you won't have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This evening I thought it could be fun to play with Heart Essence Easy Meditation Text. Don't worry, our job is not to worship or supplicate real or imagined celestial entities, but we will occasionally use them as archetypes of our own enlightened potential. But more about that in a few minutes. Let us bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness, the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental, into the conventional paths of love and release, where it is love that is emphasized. We could think of this as the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Please chant with me. Rather than auto-controlling tendencies with our follies of visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Ooh, here's an idea. What happens if I moved the word in? Would that give me the wiggle room to improve the image on the screen before you? Cowabunga. Let us sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors for statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. Let's take a moment to review the meaning of the six-syllable mantra. Om, I invoke the wish of healing Mani-ju that serves as a metaphor of love, and the Pimi lotus of purity serving as a metaphor of release, with whom I supplicate may love and release be mastered by all. Together. May whole minds of all beings now be enlightened, as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by a tikle one syllable seed or bija mantra. So what we're going to do, and by the way, you'll notice that the word enlightened is sandwiched between the first preposition as and the second preposition as, inferring we're working with a simile. We're going to take all these words and we're going to condense them down to just 6 syllables that we are going to divide between our passive, silent, and mental inhalation as well as exhalation. We're going to take these exact same 6 syllables and recite all of them silently, mentally, and passively during our inhalation. What are we going to do during our exhalation? We're going to physically relax as best we can while striving to chant the 6-syllable mantra 8 times per breath. And if this is your first time working with me, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Just as we mentioned during the opening lecture, during our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb ease. Excuse me. Well, that was grisly. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, please type your question in the chat window as specifically as possible. But do bear in mind that there's quite a lagged time between you clicking the send button and me receiving the question. Time distortion, thy name is YouTube. Together, may all relationships, all speech of all beings know be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by the six syllable mantra. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. May all bodies or forms of all beings know and show the beautiful health seen in Buddha's statuary, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Yadama archetype of enlightenment such as Chenrezig. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 oh mani mimi yung. May all circumstances, all lots of all beings know of the good fortune open. As a Buddha's real or imagined paradise per land of Ati. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively. Let us view letting go through a philosophical lens as we bring the illusion of the horizontal duality of us and them into the dance of impermanence and interdependence known as Madhyamaka's yoga of inconceivability. Aha. Well, let's try this again. Come on, cursor, don't fail me now. Okay, here we go. All visible circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. We're using the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence. We're using the verb absorb as a metaphor of interdependence. Notice instead of using the hard verb is, we're using the soft verb could be. And not only are we playing with the idea of impermanence, but interdependence that sort of lampoons our innate self-centeredness. Now, just like we did before, we're going to take all these words and condense them into just 6 syllables, divided between our inhalation and our exhalation. All sensual bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communication or speech. All resounding interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this awareness or mind. All lucid minds could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into a vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Again, let us rest in spontaneous awareness and release. Let us bring the experience, again, let us bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the conventional path of love and release, where it is love that is emphasized, once again revisiting the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all minds of all beings know me as enlightened, as the mind ever real or imagined Buddhism, baptized by Yati Clay one Sutta Basido Bisha Mantra. May all relationships, all speech of all beings know me as joyfully loving, as for real or imagined Buddhist communications symbolized by the six syllable mantra. May all bodies or forms of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful Halcyon and Buddhist statuary, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined yet almond archetype of enlightenment such as chin raising. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know have the good fortune or boon, as for Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land or Vanti. As we view release through a physiological lens, while bringing the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and release, where it is release that is emphasized, we are revisiting the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. As we inhale, all circumstances or lots could appear quite vivid. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. As we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel less non-graspable or void as a real or imagined archetypal yidam of light. As we inhale, the interpersonal experience of speech could sound quite resounding. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined mantra of light. As we inhale, we could notice all minds, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined bija eternal of light. In our compassion may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of hating, craving, clinging, metaphorically known as the three mental poisons. In all pragmatism may all liberation of all others be fueled by our reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students, described by the metaphor of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. Having sat for approximately 75 minutes, you might find it refreshing to join me for some Tibetan-style Buddha bowing. This is completely optional. May we free all through the three jewels. 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 Whoops. Let us seal this evening's practice by percussively chanting loving wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void now be as enlightened as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a one-settled vision. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void now be as loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void now be as healthy as a Yadam archetype depicted in Buddhist statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void now be as fortunate as a pure land of law depicted in Buddhist paintings. May every meditation teacher truly understand the Buddhist teachings and practice master as well as teach them generously, lovingly, and wisely in the manner of centered spontaneity. May all meditation teachers spontaneously receive generous patrons, enthusiastic students, as well as devoted apprentices. And may many Dharma centers likewise be successfully planted, nurtured, and supported. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.